Rambam, we're in the book, continuing in the book of Tahara, of purity, and speaking about implements that become impure, kalim, vessels, right? So now we're speaking about hides of animals that become used as an implement. And because they're an implement, they have a function. That's the important thing, is that they have a function. And think about it, actually tying in with the Tanya we just learned, right? Everything, everything in the world that has a function, well, that function could be used for good or for bad. That's why there could be purity or impurity. Right? That's the idea of the function of something. If something doesn't have a function, right? Then it's then it's not something that can become impure. So something broke, it's not functional. So you went even through the laws of, like, if it broke, but might still have a function. So then it depended. Was it the original function or is it a new function, right? What it was originally made for is the function that it's meant for. So if it broke and it could still be used, the original function, so then it could become impure. But if it's a new function, so then it wouldn't become impure. It's still functional, but it's not what it was originally made for, right? So some of the ideas that we're speaking about over here, you know. So now you're taking a hide of an animal, right? And you're using it. So these are the hides that can contract the impurity associated with the support of azav, meaning like if you lie on it, right? A hide that was intended to use as a carpet. Oh, that's a functional thing. A hide placed on top of the beds to sleep upon. So back in the day, those sheet covers, I guess, right? A hide placed on a donkey under the burden it carries. A hide placed on a bassinet under a baby. A hide used for a pillow. A hide used for a cushion. A hide placed beneath the table while eating so that the crumbs will fall on it. It is susceptible to impurity because one leans his feet upon it. So these are the things that we mentioned first. Sorry. Uh-huh. These were, when we're talking about medrash, means the law of lying on something, that from lying you can contract impurity, right? So these things that we first mentioned in the first paragraph are things that humans would or could lie on, and therefore they're susceptible to impurity, right? Now, a hide used for a pillow, I don't know what that means, because that is something a human. A hide used for a cushion, a hide placed beneath the table, because you lean your feet on it. Right. Okay. So in the first paragraph, the hide was used to support the person. That's the law of support, right? That most of the person is going to be supported, or at least, yeah, conceptually at least. A pillow is only for the head. A cushion is only for part of the body. So it's not complete support, right? Underneath the table, yet, because you do lean on it somewhat, right? You put your feet on I guess, like, had a tray underneath that would get the crumbs, like for a baby table, right? To get all the crumbs. So you would put your feet upon it, and therefore you would be leaning on it. You'd have support, and therefore these things also are susceptible. Now, next paragraph. A hide worn by a potter, so the clothes would not get soiled with clay. A hide worn by a flax carder, and well, when he cards flax, I guess also to keep them clean, right? A hide a porter places on his shoulders when he's carrying burdens, and the hide of the doctor places on his knees when he is puncturing holes. I guess I don't know what he's puncturing holes to protect the clothes from being soiled. All right, all these are now protecting. These hides are susceptible to impurity because the person will sit on them. So here's different. Here you're wearing it, but you're not wearing it as clothes. You're wearing it as a protection. That's not called wearing clothes, right? That's not called wearing. That's not what clothes are meant for, to protect you from getting dirty. Clothes are meant to, bring out, it's clothes to make the man, right? So they're meant to bring out, a glorification of the person. That's what clothes are meant for. So these are not meant to glorify. So they're not in the category of clothes, because then clothes would be clothes, right? Clothes are called an implement, they're called, right? And they would be susceptible. So these are not, so then why are they susceptible? Because these things, since they're like to keep you clean, you may use it to lie on, to sit on, or to lie on. Therefore, since you may use it for that, and people do use it for that back in the day, right? Therefore, it is susceptible. In other words, it's got a secondary function that would be for you to sit on. So then you are benefiting from it. I don't benefit's the right word, not the right word. You're benefiting through sitting. When you're wearing the piece of clothing to protect you, you're benefiting from it, but it's not called a garment, and you're not sitting on it. It's not. It's right. It doesn't have the It's a very categorized kind of function over here that we're talking about. So that's why it's a little, nuanced. Am I clear? Yeah. Good. All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you, folks. Now, a high place over a child's heart upon which spittle descends, a bib, right? So the clothes will not get spoiled. A hide man to place over the person's heart during the harvest because of the heat. A hide wrapped around the garment, and a hide sewed into a chest in which clothes are placed, are also susceptible to impurity. The rationale is that they were all turned upside down and used as supports. Again, the similar thing over here. You have to remember, like today, a little child's bib is only going to be used for a bib. You're not going to use it to sit on, right? But back in the day, everything they had multiple functions. That's the difference. So today, for example, first of all, a bib is made from plastic today, but let's say it was made from a hide, right? Made from plastic, so it doesn't have the law, right? Because plastic is not one of the things the Torah speaks about. So definitely wouldn't have a biblical law, and probably not even a rabbinic law. I shouldn't say that. Maybe rabbinically there would be. There's no halacha on that. Why? Because these laws are not applicable today, right? God willing, Mashiach is coming. We're going to have the third holy temple. Then we're going to have to know, is a plastic bib of a baby, would it be susceptible to impurity? So I would suggest it wouldn't be, because you're only going to use it as a bib. But back in the day, the bib for the child, what it was made, it wasn't made with a little curvature, right, that holding the food. It wasn't made that way. It was made flat. So why was it? I mean, it was made that way because it had another function, that you could sit on it. They could be used that when you're going on a picnic, right, and you're not going with your child that needs a bib, that you could sit on it on the grass. I forget, I'm giving that as an example, right? So because of that other function, that it would be turned inside out, right? The other side of it, so now it would be used for that. And that's what they did back in the day. Again, they had so few things that they owned that everything they use, I mean, not everything, but things that they use, if they could find a secondary function to it, they did. And that's the idea over here. That's the importance of that law. Wow. That unbelievable. Okay, I can't continue. But at least we got one in law with all its finer details, and appreciation of it. All right, folks. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you, Rabbi Fine.
God bless you all.